Good morning, Sunday. Good afternoon, Sunday. Good evening, Sunday, depending on where you are in the world. Interesting question coming in today. It's Susan Lazar Hart with Ask Susan TV Q&A on Sundays. So let's get right to the question. Oh, I'm from Toronto this week. Yeah, going to a conference, looking at actually how to create more with getting out there with Ask Susan, getting out there with speaking to the world. So I'm at a conference of, I guess, about 16 speakers from around the world. And it's really interesting to see how many people actually don't want to change, how many people want to kind of cement themselves into this reality and not ask questions and buy somebody's product or somebody's belief system. So it's so grateful for the tools of access consciousness and the willingness to be in total allowance of what people are talking about and actually asking, okay, what from here can I use, what from here can I download, and what from here actually isn't relevant to what I'm asking to create. So let's create with the question that came in. Dear Susan, I'm really happy to have this opportunity to write you. Well, me too. I lived in a limiting relationship for 13 years, and in that relationship, we lived together with my mother-in-law, who always knew everything better. I could not even breathe. I hated to live in the place that I called, quote-unquote, home. When I met Access, everything started to change in my life. Me too. It changed with myself and my daughter-in-law's reality, my daughter's reality, and I wasn't blind at all. 1.5 years later, I decided to change. I met a man loving and caring me and the girls. And finally, I have a place, a real home where we, quote unquote, are together. On Monday, my love said that he cannot stay at home. He has to be busy at his working place, even if it's not his working time. And this sentence was like a bullet to my head. I lived in this situation, quote unquote, I cannot stay at home, for years. And it has brought up so much pain and crying. Can you tell me some questions for this? I cannot handle it. Great. But I would like to pass it away as soon as possible. Thanks for your answer. Love, Esther. So, Esther, thank you so much for this question. Let's go backwards to the forwards. Everywhere we're looking to handle something, we're not actually being in the question of what else is possible. So when we go to handle things, it's like going to fix something. When we go to handle things, we have already taken a point of view that something has to be handled. Rather than asking, what is this? What can I do with it? Can I change it? If yes, how can I change it? What else is required? Who do I need to talk to? What questions can I ask? So I might ask you, have you come to any conclusions based on what you decided your past was? It's like bringing in the taste of yesterday with the promise of tomorrow, which people often do in relationships. They're in the present, they get a taste of something that was created in the past, and they already decided what the future will be like. Yeah. So everything that brings up for everybody listening to this, everywhere you've gone to some conclusion based on what you decided happened in the past, and that this will be like that in the future. Are you giving yourself any place to be you? Are you giving them the space to be them? No. So it's actually like living out your whole relationship in your head. And, perhaps that works for you. Perhaps it doesn't. And it seems like you're asking for questions. So if it doesn't, what other questions can we ask here? Well, I might ask you, have you actually sat down with your partner and said, hey, this is what's coming up for me? What is this? What's going on? Is there something that we need to be asking about? Is there a change here going on that I haven't been aware of? And you could say, you know what, this actually doesn't work for me. If you're going to be doing something else, or if you're going to be somewhere else, it's okay. Yeah. So how many of us make someone defend against where they're doing, what they're doing, and how they're doing? Because we've already decided what that means. So I might ask you, only you know that. Are you asking questions from a place of defense? So everything that is, every world that brings up for you, would you be willing to let that go? What's greater here for me that I haven't been willing to be or see might be a question that you could be asking. And what's the value of holding on to what you've already decided will happen? Does that create greater or less? Everything that is, would you be willing to let that go? Yeah. One of the things that I know for sure is that when we hold on to what has happened, when we hold on to our story and we use that as a reference for what will happen, you actually get what you ask for. So you create what you've decided can never happen again, because now you're looking to see if it will happen again. That's kind of whatever you resist persists. Yeah. So everything that brings up, everywhere you bought into who somebody else is or isn't based on all the other people that you've met and what they've done, would you be willing to let that go? Good, bad, right, wrong, puck, puck, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. You might be detecting a kind of theme here. It's really the willingness to live in the present. If something isn't working, would you be willing, and it takes courage, to sit down with somebody and say, hey, this is what's going on for me, without referencing the past. So I might ask you, what is it that you're creating in your life and living that has you watching what other people are doing or not doing? And has you referencing your future based on what they're doing or not doing? Because your primary relationship is your relationship with you. So I might ask, where are you in all of this? You know, what is it that you're creating with your life and your living and your finances that is creating more for and with you? What if being with that other person is a contribution, a communion of creating something greater, not dependent on them to create something greater for you? So everything that is. I'm giving you lots of different questions. I'd be really curious to have some feedback. For everybody listening, for anybody who's holding on to a relationship with themselves that they've decided, well, if this person is going to do this, then that's going to be that. Because that's also where you tie yourself up with a relationship with you, where you lock yourself up in that kind of trifold sequencing system of going back and forth and back and forth. Again, there's no room for greater possibilities. What's greater here for me that I haven't been willing to be or see might be something really fantastic. And really, honestly, congratulations for writing this letter, for being so vulnerable in contacting us. And also, it really, honestly, everybody, it takes courage to sit down and say to somebody, hey, there's some stuff going on for me. Do you mind if I talk with you about it? I have some questions I'd like to ask. And ask those questions from you, about you. Yeah. Because if you're willing to lower your barriers and be an allowance of whatever the responses are, it gives you the information of where you need to go with you. Yeah. And it gives them the information that perhaps you might be interested in something different. Because if it's not working, don't fix it. If it's not working, ask what's greater here for both of you.